Oh, also gets a boyfriend.
Alright, hey everybody, welcome to another Ninjago news video. It's been a while since the last time I done one of these, and that's not because obviously I'm not watching the show anymore, I'm not interested in the show. It's more so the amount of effort that it takes to do it is just things, especially since as of now, like even probably with this video, I tend to ramble a little bit if I don't have a kind of script. Now, I've kind of made a small script to kind of keep me a little bit on track, but I'm probably going to ramble a little bit, so there may be some edits for sure with this. But the edits aren't cutting out things that I don't want to say, it's just cutting out unnecessary things, stuff like that. Anyway, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and today we're going to get started. The news video is on the recent secrets video that Lego released with the current writers of Ninjago. They basically spoiled 4 main points. Spoiled, I use the term loosely because obviously they censored words. But if you pay attention to other information, it's pretty easy to figure it out. For example, let's go with the some of the less ones that are not actually getting discourse. The main one of this video will be, I'm going to go into more detail because there's a lot to unpack with that one. But the first three, obviously, they talked about the Forbidden Five and the Temple that they're clearly talking about when they basically, obviously it's centered, but it's obviously the Forbidden Five and the Temple that they have, Shatter Spin, and it was how it was made to be unstoppable, so to speak. Now, to be honest, they could also be talking about the Dragon's Rising technique, but considering the Dragon's Rising technique seems like it's more created to counter Shatter Spin, it's more likely they're talking about the Forbidden Five and Shatter Spin, because that one was probably created, and then Dragon's Rising was most likely created to counter the Forbidden Five. That's most likely what it's going to be like. The other points, we have obviously something that was confirmed by a particular minifigure leak. Raz, blank, someone joins Raz's team, blank, and someone freaks out. Obviously, this is coexisting with certain leaks involving a J minifigure that has some printing that is very reminiscent of the Raz's team. So we have that. And then the other part, people are speculating obviously Nia freaking out. Now, yes, it makes sense Nia would freak out. I mean, that's her essentially yin yang situation. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be just Nia who's going to freak out. She may freak out most, but I'm pretty sure most of the team is going to freak out. Just relative. I mean, how wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? I mean, especially the OG team. Maybe not necessarily the new team. Like, they're not really going to understand. They'll be like, yeah, who's this? Or what? Eren might freak out because he's obviously a ninja fan. But some of the others not necessarily going to freak out so much. Sora might not really freak out, but will know. So, obviously, that's what's happening with that. Really not much to say about that. It's pretty self-explanatory just from knowing all the information plus this video. Then we have, blank and blank have a blank, and then how the relationship blank. Now, the thing about this is the blank in the middle of that is either falling out or fight scene, but technically it could be both. And people speculate. This one's a little bit harder because it's not really sure. People are speculating Lloyd Kai, Eren Sora. I'm not sure if there's anyone else being necessarily speculating at this point that are major. Because obviously Cole and Jay, they're not really I mean, maybe they're having a falling out, but they already won. They've already had a falling out once, if people remember what happened. It's a forbidden topic people don't like to talk about. Back in the day, it's one of those things that's just like, we're gonna leave that in the past. We don't want to talk about that particular situation that happened way back in the day. So obviously that things, and you know, what else is there really? There's not really that many characters that have a real hardcore connection outside of the main four that I mentioned. That would that would make a reason for that to be a thing as a spoiler. So those are the points that are not very, talked about online because obviously, there's not much to them. But one of the biggest ones that is talked about on this video, a spoiler video, is blank gets a boyfriend. Now, honestly, just my opinion, there was honestly no reason for that. I mean, for one, it doesn't matter anything about it. Really, what relevance does that have to the story? The show's not a romantic comedy. It's an action adventure. So, it's really irrelevant. That's my main big take away from it. Another takeaway from it, which is something that obviously first thing came in my mind because obviously I'm online and so I see a lot of different opinions and a lot of different things, not things I agree with, stuff and all that kind of things. And obviously this shouldn't be the case, but obviously because of it, and it shouldn't be the case, but I knew as soon as I heard it, the same people, and I'm not going to say like there's tweets saying, obviously, Ninjago fans, as in they're trying to say all Ninjago fans, got heavily played today for this part, which I'll get into why that is. Okay? That's what they said. That's what actually the tweet said. Ninjago fans got heavily played today. And then it goes into why and all that. And saying Ninjago fans got heavily played is an understatement. It's an overstatement. Not understatement, overstatement. Because it's not all Ninjago fans. It's the same old Ninjago fans that remain in their echo chambers, so to speak. Okay? Same ones over and over again. It's never anyone different. It's never anyone new. The same old ones. And it's not that many. Like, I can make a collective list of them. It's not as many as they think. So, it's essentially I'm going to say this, 1%. Okay? Then most of them are like, don't give a damn. And then you got another portion that's like, no. That's what it is. And that is, here's the big things, obviously, the main people who immediately came to mind, same old people, were the people who want Cole to be part of a certain community. Even though it would be out of character for him, by all regards. They would have to change his character, which would then ruin his character. And in the current years, the way they seem to have to do it, it just would ruin the character downright. Things it would become the entire personality, take away everything else, and there's just so much wrong with it. I'm not going to get into details on that because it's kind of pointless to rehash everything. I go on this all the time, but that's what it is. Okay. So the same old people, basically thinking that, and they got immediately disappointed because Lego definitely made a mistake here in putting the subtitles and forgetting to blank out a particular word, and that is Wildfire gets a boyfriend. That's right, it's not Cole. Sorry, Bruce fans, which honestly I haven't seen them in years, so I feel like they've given up on that. They've moved on to the next one, and then the next one. If you think about it, they move on. It's funny. It was Bruise shippers, then it became Lava shippers, and now they've moved on to, I don't know what they call it, but colon Geo shippers, which is actually honestly the worst one of them all, because Geo's not even human. He's a gecko. No, he's a monk that's got gecko skin. So it's like very, very. I mean, that's my worst one. That is the worst one. I prefer the other two fanships, and just seeing them than seeing that one. I really do. I really, really don't like it. It's just I'm not a fan of that kind of. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. It's just things. So that's what's funny. They've moved on from it. Like you don't see. I barely seen Bruce things, and no, it's not because some may have blocked me. Because to be honest, they still post publicly. So blocking is irrelevant when you post publicly, because literally you can just log out and you'll see their stuff. It's funny when they do it. But anyway, so that's what's interesting about it. I haven't seen them, haven't, and I did look for this particular thing. I haven't seen them. Like I've seen one or two, but they're really irrelevant now. They've all moved on to the next one. That's how you know they're disingenuous with their ship, and they just want their things, and that's how you know they're the 1%, and that's how you know they shouldn't be pandered to. But unfortunately, without the subtitles, my mind went to, because Lego is somewhat, how should I say, woke. I don't really want to use it because technically they're not really what. It depends on, like, there's definitely different levels, and they're not really on the high level. Like, the show it has done it for years, and ironically enough, people are starting to notice a lot more. I've actually noticed an uprising, quote unquote, homophobia. But basically, you don't agree with them. It's not really homophobia, but let's not get into that whole topic. I have seen a rise in that. Okay, now when I say quote unquote, I say quote unquote, because it's not actually, but that's what it will be called. I've seen a rise in that. In terms of people just like, no, we're done with this. Based on the flags that are put in the show. And honestly, I feel relieved because I've been saying this for years. Now, I've been saying it in a different way. I've been saying, I don't necessarily care. It's just so obvious and eye-rolling moments. I honestly don't care. Because the way they put the flags into the show, which one of the more recent ones was annoying because I think it was, what was it, Pan or something? Or Poly? Yeah, I think it was the Poly one, which I'm vehemently against Poly for many reasons involving cheating, but involving just legalizing cheating. But let's not get into that. I'm not going to get deep into that. So when you look at that, the flags being in there, the way they do it, it doesn't necessarily ruin the show's story. It's clearly put in there just to pander, just to virtue signal, has no relevance to the show, and that's why it's just an eye roll moment. It doesn't actually bother me to the same things. But although it's very refreshing to see other people point it out, even though they're like several years too late. And also, it's a Canadian show, so it makes sense that people are just going to put in there. It's just put in there. It's not any relevance. They try to say, oh, look, it's put in there. This means this character's like this and this character's like this. It's like, no. You realize they just put in there just a virtual signal to you, right? Okay, it's pretty obvious why it's in there. But, hey, that's that. You're able to think of things. It's just, I've watched a lot of stuff in my years. And, yeah. And that's that. So anyway, that brings things. Before I sign off, I'm going to point out why people need to stop with the constant trying to push for fanships. If they want to put a gay character in, they could. They could. And if they want to do it right, with minimal backlash, because I'm going to say minimal backlash, because today's society, it's not going to have zero backlash. It's going to have minimal backlash. It's going to have backlash, regardless. Okay, in the climate we're living in, it's always going to happen. If you want to do minimal backlash, it can work. Here's how. Cole's not things. If they did Cole, it would have maximum backlash because they would have to overhaul his entire character, and based on how they do it these days, they would push identity politics, make it all about his character. His entire personality would become that he's a certain way. That's why he's not, because it would have to change his character. However, Geo being, say, their representation, I use that in air quotes too, could work if done right, based on the fact that he is new. His story is very much shrouded in mystery, so there's a lot of things, and ironically enough, you could still have a kind of situation where maybe Geo is crushing on Cole, but Cole doesn't have the same feelings. You can still have a situation like that. You still get the representation, which is what they want. This is not the reason why I'm saying do it. I'm just pointing out this is how to do it, while not having the controversy and the maximum backlash. Okay, Geo being a new character, it works. Him having crush, him essentially being rejected by Cole, but at the same time, when he comes out to Cole, he doesn't. Cole is, accepts him for who he is, even though he doesn't have the same feelings. That kind of situation, you can have a situation like that. And it'll be more realistic because, typically when you're in high school, I'm sure if there's things, you're not always going to get the person you want. Whether you're straight, gay, things, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get the person you want. So it has to be more realistic. And that's how you do it. That would be the most minimal backlash to do it. Would be. Okay? People can have whatever opinion they want, but that's the best way. On top of that, if you were to do it, another thing that you would have to make sure you don't do with, say, they make Geo the LGBT character, you would have to also make sure you don't make it their entire identity. Which in today's climate would not work because people want it to be their entire identity. And I'm going to take you to an old show I watched. It has a niche audience, so you may know it, you may not. But if you don't, you can go watch it. That I watched. I enjoyed for different reasons, not the fact that there was an LGBT character. I mean, obviously, it was from the very start. You knew the character was going to be that way, but that wasn't a deal breaker for me for the show, and it was a good show for me because of the family aspect. I'm big on that kind of aspect in a lot of shows, plus action, adventure, and all the other things. So this show was niched, and so they had a gay character, and at the end of the season, they had the character come out. That was it. They didn't elaborate. They didn't need to have to worry about the pride flag crap. They didn't have to worry about identity politics making it all about his character. They just happened. It was just a character that happened to be things, and it was very close to the main cast too. This character. So that was what happened, and then in the second season, obviously the first episode was directly towards the end of the first season, so they did do a little bit of the elaborating on the character being gay, the gay character's coming out story, but after that, it was essentially irrelevant. People knew, didn't matter, didn't care. They focused on the main aspect of the story. Okay, the character was still there. The character was still gay, but it was not focused upon to the extent of the woke ideology. So it was not as bothersome, and it was back during a time where it wasn't as controversial as it is now. So it works. So there's multiple levels to this, but these people don't get that. They can't see that. Now, they did do episodes where they had a little bit of focus on the characters' coming out story, but it wasn't in a way that would warrant controversial talking conversations. Wasn't. Now, funny enough, the show got cancelled, and I found out about a year ago that there were people who complained about it being cancelled because of homophobia. And as someone who watched the show, enjoyed the show for different reasons, okay, as someone who is quote unquote homophobic, according to people, that's not why it was cancelled. It was cancelled because there was a niched audience. For many reasons. When you have a niched audience, your show's going to fail. Your thing's going to fail. Okay? A lot of reasons why these shows that are successful succeed are because of mass appeal. The reason why classic characters are more popular than current characters is because of mass appeal. Okay? You can see yourself in them regardless of their sexual orientation, their gender identity, and all these straight characters. Why are they so popular? Even amongst people who happen to be in certain communities. It's because of their appeal based on more than just their sexual orientation and gender identity. Simple as that. Simple as that. Simple. So anyway, I'm sorry for that little rant at the end. I just really need to get off my chest because this community it's not woke. This fandom is not woke. It's actually got some pretty common sense people, and I say common sense. People who are not against it, but don't want it the way it's currently being done. And so, I feel those people need to speak up just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Because it's the only way you can deal with it, is to speak up. Be common sense. Simple as that. Actually, before I sign off, there's another point I was going to do in this video, but obviously I'm doing it in a different order than I wanted to, because I don't have necessarily a script to run off, because that would take too much. I've seen that these people also point to when they say Cole is a certain way, okay? And that is the Royal Blacksmith back during season 2. Which is essentially what they call a coming out story. I'm going to explain why that is wrong. Well, first things first, is there elements that people who come out can relate to? Yes. Yes, there is. Of course there is. That's the reason it's got mass appeal, because it's not just exclusively for one group of people. Anyone can see themselves in that story. Especially if you're a teenager. Okay? It was a teenager. He was essentially a ninja, but his dad didn't know because he hid it from his dad. And he dropped out of school. His dad didn't know that. Now, the reason his reasoning for not telling him was because he didn't want to upset his parents. He cared about his dad. He loved his dad. And he didn't want his dad to, worry about him, he thought his dad would disapprove, essentially. This doesn't exclusively do to one group. A lot of teenagers feel this way. It's not exclusive to one group. Teenagers hide things from their parents all the time. It has nothing to do with that. You shouldn't, but it is natural, and that's why when parents think, because they're worried and they care about their parents. That's just how it is. So, yes, can you see that? Can you see a coming out story for gay people with that story? Yes, you can. Is that what it was about? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Okay, it was just it was not a thing. It was not exclusively for you. It was for anyone who can kind of relate to that story, who has any relationship to that story. Okay, so anyway, I've done that rant. That's that. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you like this video. And even if you didn't like this video, do things. I will try and get more into these videos in the future. It's just, hard when, the show is kind of waning down now. But, if people have topic videos, let me know in the comments below. Also in the comments below, let me know if you agree, you disagree. As always, I would keep it civil, keep it respectful, and that's pretty much all. So, yep,